BPM praise, worship songs, inspirational Bible verses, food for souls, streamer. Like, share, subscribe.
God's Omniscience verse. Isaiah 46 verses 9 to 10 is a declaration of God's sovereignty, His uniqueness, and His ultimate control over history. Here's a deeper exploration of these verses. Isaiah 46 verse 9 to 10n, IV. Remember the former things, those of long ago. I am God, and there is no other. I am God, and there is none like me. I make known the end from the beginning, from ancient times, what is still to come. I say, my purpose will stand, and I will do all that I please. 1. The call to remember verse 9. Remember the former things, those of long ago. God calls His people to remember His past works, His faithful acts in history. This includes recalling His deliverance, the miracles He performed, and the promises He kept. These events are intended to serve as a foundation for trusting His future actions. By urging remembrance, God emphasizes the importance of reflecting on His past faithfulness as a source of comfort and confidence for present and future challenges. 2. God's unique identity, verse 9b. I am God, and there is no other. I am God, and there is none like me. This is a bold declaration of God's absolute sovereignty and uniqueness, and like false gods or idols that the people might be tempted to worship, God is unparalleled. There is no one else who shares His power, wisdom, or authority. This also reaffirms the biblical principle of monotheism. God alone is worthy of worship and allegiance. The phrase emphasizes that no other entity, whether kings, nations, or idols, can challenge or rival God's supremacy. 3. God's sovereign control over time and history, verse 10. I make known the end from the beginning, from ancient times, what is still to come. God's omniscience is showcased here. He knows the outcome of all things from the very beginning, while humans are bound by time and limited in their understanding. God transcends time and sees both the beginning and the end in perfect clarity. The fact that God can declare the end from the beginning is a statement of His absolute control over all events. What may seem unpredictable or chaotic to human eyes is already within God's ordained plan. This also speaks to God's foreknowledge, His ability to predict and reveal future events with certainty, because He is not constrained by time or space. 4. God's irresistible purpose, verse 10b. My purpose will stand, and I will do all that I please. God's plans are invincible. Whatever He purposes will come to pass, because no power in the universe can thwart His will. This shows His irresistible sovereignty. This also suggests God's will is always good and certain, while humans may face challenges. God's ultimate purpose for creation will not fail. This is an assurance that God is actively involved in guiding history toward its intended fulfillment. The phrase, I will do all that I please, reinforces God's freedom and power in executing His will. Nothing can prevent God's intentions from being realized. 5. Theological implications. God's omniscience. God knows the future as clearly as He knows the past, as He is outside of time. This provides comfort that nothing is beyond His understanding or control. God's sovereignty. These verses emphasize that God is not only the Creator, but also the ruler of the universe. His will stands firm, and He does all that pleases Him without opposition. Encouragement to trust in God's plan. For the Israelites, these verses were likely a source of comfort and hope, especially during difficult times like exile. They were reminded that despite appearances, God is in control and will accomplish His purposes. The certainty of God's plan. God's declaration that His purposes will stand highlights the certainty of His plans for history. His plans are unchangeable, and His promises will be fulfilled. 6. Application for today. Trusting in God's sovereignty. Just as the Israelites were encouraged to trust in God's ultimate plan, believers today can find comfort in knowing that God is in control of their lives and the world. Whatever happens in life is not beyond his knowledge or ability to use for his purposes. Confidence in God's faithfulness. Remembering God's past acts of faithfulness helps to build trust in his future actions. Just as he was faithful in the past, he will continue to be faithful moving forward. Rejecting idols and false god. This passage also serves as a warning against trusting in idols or anything else that competes with God's authority. Believers are reminded to place their trust solely in the one true God. 7. Summary. Isaiah 46, 9-10 serves as a profound statement about God's unparalleled nature, his sovereign control over the future, and the certainty of his purposes. It calls God's people to trust in his ultimate plan, grounded in his omniscience and sovereignty, and to remember his faithfulness in the past as a basis for hope in the future. This passage challenges believers to reject idols and place their full trust in the one true God who knows and controls all things. Thank you for watching. Please subscribe, comment, and like for more.